The Adventures of Batman.
Welcoming you to the new adventures of Batman.
And welcome to another episode of Batman Cartoon by Cartoon, or as Ryan Lauer likes to call it, Batmanimation, episode 23. I am your host today of this fabulous episode because we're going to dig deep into a cartoon that has probably been long forgotten. I feel like we're gonna go back to the Batman cartoon, season 3, episodes 1 and 2, Batgirl Begins, and I have a special guest, a very special guest. A lot of you might know him, scooper extraordinaire, more scoops than Baskin Robbins, Jett Ramey.
Hello.
How you doing?
How are you? I'm good. Okay. So
have you ever guested on this pod? Is this the first? Are you?
No,
usually
I've guested.
No,
I'm usually a guest when I'm on these.
Okay, because usually when we do them, you take the lead. But you want to do.
Have I done one of these with you? Have I done a Batmanimation with you?
Maybe we have only done regular podcasts. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's been so many years and so many shows. They all blend together.
I got to ask a question though.
Yeah.
The intro, which I've never witnessed in person. Your opening intro bit. Is that something? Is that an homage to something else, or is that
yes? It's
okay.
It's basically homage to a radio legend, sports talk radio legend, Chris Mad Dog Russo. He does a little similar bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
so if you Google like Chris Mad Dog Russo intro, you'll see the similarities and stuff. And
okay.
If you listen to Straight Outta Gotham, I do a little bit more of an extravaganza. Because sometimes because on Zoom it always doesn't pick up. So we may have to do like a re-edit, but like on my show. So that's what happens sometimes.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a little bit of Chris Mad Dog Russo. There's a little bit of Amy Dallin in there. She's a fangirl, like journalist, podcaster, so pop culture person. So there's a little bit of that in there. I used to watch her a lot on Collider. So it's a combination of the two, but it's a lot more Chris Russo.
Okay. I wondered because this is kind of like back when I used to do the Hey Now.
Correct. It's very similar. Yeah, because I grew up in the everyone knows I grew up in the New York tri-state area. And central New Jersey, so it's the hotbeds hour out of New York City. So New York talk radio is big here, especially sports radio. And WFAN basically was the first sports talk radio station ever, and it kind of set the tone. And he was a big part of that. And now he's on Sirius and MLB Network, and he's got a shtick, and it's pretty good. And
I know him. I like that. Hey Now was my homage to Howard Stern show, which was his Hey Now is an homage to the Larry Sanders show.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you ever watch Larry Sanders show?
I know who he is. I've never watched it, but I know what the show is. Yeah.
It's classic. It's a classic show. Gary Shandling, plays Larry
Yes,
Sanders.
I do know Gary Shandling.
And so, his sidekick, Hank, that's his thing. Hey Now.
Yeah.
And so it somehow became Howard Stern's opening line, and it's an homage to Larry Sanders. So, and then I used to do it because I was still am technically big Howard Stern fan, but I don't listen to the show anymore because it's gotten not good.
I got
not
you.
good. Like,
and it's also like, I went to school, I studied broadcasting, I work in television, I always wanted to do radio, but podcasting is like, I can have my own radio show. So it kind of like fills that void, so it all kind of like fits together.
Yeah. Howard he's not even in the studio anymore.
He does it from home.
He does it just like you and I are doing right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
On Sirius XM though. Everyone else is still in the studio there in Manhattan at the Sirius XM wherever in the hell the headquarters
Some
are.
people don't like going, some people don't like going to work now. It's very interesting.
I mean,
I don't mind commuting because it gives, I don't mind. I don't want to spend all day at home, because you
like
habit fever.
if you just know, like Howard, I mean, he went that because of COVID, right? In 2020. And then he just never came back. He just never came back to the studio.
That's funny.
And I know a lot of the diehard fans, I sometimes check out the message boards and they're just this shit on him left and right. And really the show, I mean, Howard's almost 70, but
is he that old? That's crazy.
Yeah. It's just not, it's not what it was. Not what it was. Still does a great interview, but all his interviews, I mean, they're always, and he has, bands and stuff on, and they're at the Sirius studio, and he's
at home,
literally in his basement, and it's
so funny
setup. So he'll never go back in. He's like a huge, doesn't want to do anything, germaphobe type guy. He's trying to become the other Howard Hughes. So hopefully not. But dude's a legend, absolute legend.
That he is.
So before we start we're going to talk about animation, right?
Now we talk about radio and
we talk about radio. The show is about, it's Batmanimation. So we're talking about animated Batman TV or films.
Just animated Batman.
Speaking of animation in general, I just got to say, or ask you, have you watched Agent Elvis on Netflix yet?
No, I have not watched Agent Elvis.
That has got to be one of the greatest TV shows I've ever seen in my life. That's a little hyperbole, but I will say it is one of the greatest Elvis things I've ever watched in my life.
I heard he's got a pet monkey.
Yes. Yeah. Do you know the premise of Agent Elvis?
No, I have no premise of no.
Okay.
No idea.
Elvis wanted to be
Captain Marvel Jr.
Yes. He also wanted to be a secret agent or a law enforcement officer, federal agent. So this is really, I mean, for
FBI
real.
Elvis, right?
Yeah. He really wanted to do that.
Can also your ID.
So they created a show based on that premise. So Elvis actually gets to be a superhero and secret agent. So he starts off very Batman-like. He is he is a vigilante. And he's
really?
He is
just kicking ass with the guitar.
He's doing like the comeback special by day, and then at night he's going out and doing a Batman type thing, albeit a little bit more violent. And so
okay, all right.
So and it's also, there's a bit of like Forrest Gump in it.
Interesting.
Like Elvis, all these real historical people, real people show up at various times. Speaking of, I mentioned Howard Hughes earlier. Howard Hughes is a character in this. And in episode 1, part of his vigilantism, he takes on Charles Manson and the Manson family and kicks their ass.
This is insane.
It is insane. And that's what's so awesome about it.
All right. Okay. Maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'm busy watching Gotham Knights tonight. It's Tuesday, so Gotham Knights is on. So
Gotham Knights.
Can't miss it.
Elvis. Agent Elvis is head and shoulders better television than that.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. But
so
we are here to talk about
and there is
Batman, the original The Batman.
Yes. So yes, to answer your question, one last thing about Agent Elvis. Yes, one of the characters is a chimpanzee named Scatter, which Elvis really had a chimpanzee named Scatter in the mid 60s. That raised 10 kinds of hell. And so it is based on a real, and Matthew McConaughey voices Elvis, and it's awesome. So
everything you love in one show.
All right.
There we go. Okay. Now that he's got his promo out there for Agent Elvis, let's talk about season 3, episode 1 and 2 of the Batman. Batgirl Begins. Apparently this is actually a tribute title because Batman Begins came out that summer. So they actually named these 2 episodes after that, which is kind of cute. So that's a little bat trivia for you. Basically, it's the story, the origin story of not only Batgirl but Poison Ivy. It's a different take on Poison Ivy, but it's also very similar and somewhat faithful to the Poison Ivy you've all known and loved throughout the years. But it's got that little twist that the Batman is known for. This design for Poison Ivy is not as out there as previous designs for the Batman characters, such as, let's say, Catwoman's suit or the Joker. This is pretty toned down for them, I think. But there's another character involved in here that actually brings me back to the Arkham games. He reminds me of the Executioner. You remember that guy with the electric hands?
Yeah.
So he's kind of a throwaway villain to kind of get Ivy started. But when was Bill? You're talking off air that you remember this back in the day, 20 some years ago, reviewing it episode by episode for Batman on Film. So take us back to the day. What you remember? What changed? What did you notice this time around? Just talk about the episode.
I did. I reviewed all the episodes somewhere in the BOF vault. They may not be online, but I do have access to these reviews. So I think I'll go back. I've been going back and finding them and then
maybe attach those two to this show.
Once we do an episode of one of these, I'll go back and check out the reviews of whatever series it was, whatever episodes. And if I reviewed it, I find it, and then I migrated over to the new site, which is now already 5 years old. So anyway, but yeah, it was, I liked the series. It was, it was Saturday morning thing. So there was a little more kiddie factor to it than, like Batman the Animated Series, which came before. And
it's not that far off though,
No. It's not. When I say kiddie, that's probably not doing it justice, because you would think it's, like that. What was that frickin' Gotham Cars or whatever in the hell that just, wheels.
Bat wheels.
Yeah.
Definitely above that. But definitely there's a lot more in common with BTAS than it doesn't, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, heck, the Batman versus Dracula movie is kind of dark if you watch it. So anyway, that's a side note. But I really liked it, and heck, I even thought. I mean, I remember when they announced it. It was, as leading up to Batman Begins, before it came, when it was coming out. They kind of released it before. It was before Batman Begins, but everybody knew Batman Begins was coming. There was no animated series. They announced it, and it was going to feature a younger Batman. I really thought it was going to be a prequel to the animated series, but it was its own thing with its own cast. I liked it. I liked the fact it was called The Batman, and I liked the season 1 theme song better. But this is this is when it started for me. Just me watching it, because the first 2 seasons are all he's young solo Batman, and now you're getting into,
and now you get sidekicks.
Now you're getting sidekicks are coming in, and I thought it was different that the first sidekick is Batgirl, not Robin.
Well, rumor has it that because of the popularity and success of one of the Teen Titans shows, that led them to kind of use Batgirl instead of Robin here.
I remember that. I do not know personally if that is the actual, if that's the case. Could be. What was it back then? Just regular Teen Titans.
It was
Teen Titans.
I've lost track of how many iterations there are actually of Teen Titans. They all kind of blend in for me, but
yeah, that's certainly possible, because that was back. We're talking almost 20 years ago. That's back when they were way more anal, they being Warner Brothers, about Batman characters and where they could and where they couldn't show up, and like they're being used on one thing, they didn't like them showing up in another. It was all kind of weird. The bat embargo, they called it. So I believe that.
Lessened over the years. I thought it was kind of interesting how this episode, these 2 episodes basically kind of teamed up Barbara and Pam for a little bit. That's kind of how we get introduced to the character of Ivy. Basically, Ivy is, it's true to the character. She's very environmentally friendly. She kind of gets involved a little bit over her head. Probably has the best of intentions, but she's kind of a bad seed. Pun intended. That's even said in the show. Even her Barbara's father even like kind of notices and points it out, but Barbara doesn't listen. So I imagine you as a parent have had similar interactions with your kids involving their friends. So it's interesting how the show can provide something of like a real life moment, even though, like you said, it's kind of directed towards children. But you see Ivy is kind of taking over and using a gun for hire that she found off the internet. I guess she was searching Craigslist, and that's how she found what's his name, Tumblr. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever his name is. So he's going around, and they're whether it's I don't even know what to call these places. These places they're blowing up. I don't even.
They were like
it was like
places. I mean, she's kind of like an eco terrorist.
That's it.
She is. Yeah. So anything that's hurting plants, they're going after. She's going after.
So basically, I kind of dig what they were able to do with Barbara and Ivy, and I'm just curious what your whole take is about about that relationship Jim and his daughter leading into the Batgirl stuff. You've been around for various iterations of Batgirl. You're not old enough for the original Batgirl, are you? The original printing, like I forget what issue it is. Like, you were around for Batgirl 1 when she not Batgirl 1, but when she whatever her first appearance was. Off the top of my head, I can't remember it.
The Kathy Kane Batgirl.
Barbara. When
Barbara?
Yeah,
I was here. I don't remember it.
Okay.
I mean, I was alive when the TV series came out, and Batgirl debuted before. I mean, after the series.
So Detective
Barbara
359 January 1967, first Batgirl.
Yeah. So I was.
Okay. I actually own the book.
A little over a year.
I don't know.
I don't remember it being out, but I do also. But I was here. I was present in this world at that time.
So you're familiar with all the various takes. So how does this one hold up for you?
Look. I mean, she is.
You're a big sidekick guy, so
she she is. I mean, she's Barbara Gordon. She's Commissioner Gordon's daughter. She's, clearly a kid, more of a kid than, she's not like, what was the original, like the TV show, like a
TV show. She was graduated,
librarian,
working librarian.
She was that was the
definitely
incarnation of her back then. I mean, I don't know how old Barbara Gordon. I'm sure she's portrayed in her 20s usually in the comics, right?
Yeah, probably around the same age as Dick Grayson.
Because I don't recall her ever. I don't just this is the Batman historian in me. I don't remember her ever being a child in the comic books. Like a teenager or even younger. I don't. Not like
even B-Taz. She was at least a college student.
Yeah. So
she's always been as old as Grayson.
So this one is a little. This is goes back to what this was a Saturday morning cartoon, so I'm sure that they want her to be younger for that that demographic, a younger demographic, and also young girls. So, but other than that, I mean, it's Barbara Gordon, Batgirl. I kind of like that take. The take on Poison Ivy's not all that different, but she comes. I mean,
she's just younger herself.
Yeah, she's like a kid too. So I mean, I'd
say they're probably the age of maybe high school freshmen.
Yeah,
I'd say they're both probably freshmen.
They're like around 15ish.
Yeah,
or so.
Yeah, and it's very faithful. I think. I mean, a lot of it's very faithful, right down to the costume. I mean,
she doesn't look
just a tribute to Yvonne herself. I mean, it looks color scheme wise.
Yeah,
Fits
she
in
does.
within this universe, and it matches Yvonne's purple.
I recall thinking it's clearly it was a nod to, Batgirl of the 60s TV series.
Yeah, which was
costume,
the popular
so-
iteration up until probably somewhere in the 2010s when I think when Batgirl Burnside was popular.
Yeah.
Well after the New 52. So that was the more popular version of the costume time. And I think
Yeah.
I think it blends well, but I think the characterization of both Barbara and Ivy is really interesting. I like that they made them friends. I like how everything's very faithful. They also explain how Barbara was able to do backflips with these as she's training for the Olympics. You know, so I thought that was an interesting. Like, oh wow, okay, there we go. Let's get that out of the way real quick.
True. Yeah.
So she's very agile and quick on her feet. And I think part of the reason why she's probably a little younger here is maybe like they're sticking traditionally as Batman having a younger kid sidekick. Like traditionally Robin would fill that void. He's probably, I mean, when Dick Grayson started, he was younger than even Barbara was here. So I feel like that's very traditional, at least in a sense. Overall, I thought Ivy and her powers were great as well. Again, just everything was very faithful. You even had like, as weird it is, she even had like a little bit of a romantic tease to her. Like Ivy originally traditionally was very flirtatious and with Batman and stuff back in the day. So they even threw that in there, as weird as that is. But
I thought she was just pretty much straight up traditional Poison Ivy. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm
once she got doused with the toxic goo,
Yeah.
right? Like that's pretty much she's all Ivy. Just just a little more yellow.
the eco terrorist angle is something that's relatively, I'd say relatively new to the character. I mean, that was not her original incarnation. It was just she was another gimmick villain, for Batman. But I mean, that's a good way to do it. I mean, that's what she in Batman and Robin the movie. She was basically that,
as well as Beataz. Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely. So yeah, I don't think that it's that either one strayed so far away from their comic book or like any of their comic book incarnations where it would be you'd say like, man, that's not even like the character, that's completely different.
It's way more faithful than Batman and Robin. I mean, Barbara Gordon compared to Barbara Wilson, that whole thing.
Yeah. Batgirl for sure. I was thinking more in line with Poison Ivy, because a lot of the villains of the Batman, there's some that are aesthetically different. Joker, for one thing, in the Batman. But
honestly, the only thing, and I bring this up all the time, the only thing that bothers me with the Joker is he doesn't wear shoes.
Yeah,
he's barefoot the whole time. I could care less about the dreadlocks.
I never figured that out. I remember when reviewing this, I would make fun of that. The fact that he ran around with no shoes on. But the most part, the characters were loyal to their comic book traditions. Mr. Freeze had a different take. Now I'm getting off on a tangent and just talking about the series in general. So let's get back to the episode. So yeah.
This episode is just very faithful. And I kind of appreciate at the end of the episode, first of all, Batman knows it's Barbara the whole time. She makes her big entrance. She helps Batman out. She helps save the day. She actually proves to be very helpful. And it's kind of interesting how basically through the second half of the second episode, Batman basically like, no, stay here. But she proves herself. She actually does a really good job of proving herself versus Ivy. And he relents. And I like how Batman won't tell Gordon. He wants her to tell Gordon. Like I dig that. And it actually brings me back to an episode that I did with Lauer, Old Wounds, where Robin confronts Batman about knowing that Barbara's Batgirl, and he's like, "It's not my job to tell you; it's hers." Like, like I kind of like the similarities there. So I dig that, and I kind of appreciate how Gordon notices she's a redhead, and he makes the connection there, because I always feel like Gordon at some point knows his daughter's got to be Batgirl.
Yeah,
he can't be the commissioner of police.
He conveniently doesn't have his glasses, so
right.
That's the bit. That's the excuse that he doesn't realize it's his daughter. And that, I mean, it's there's not a lot to say in terms of, yeah, I thought the Batman always did a great job with the Batman
It's
mythos.
very underrated.
Yeah.
It really is, considering how long the show was on for.
Yeah.
Being the first show after BTAS.
I mean, it ran for 5 seasons,
That's a good run.
Yeah.
That's a really good run.
It is.
And it was different. Like, they did a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a rehash of BTAS. It created its own lore and its own characters, and it's like, for instance, like when they did the first Clayface they did, that's a totally different character. And I thought, because of the relationship with Bruce Wayne, it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
So even when they take their liberties, I thought they were very creative. And, you could tell there's a lot of heart in the show. There just is. Like, this wasn't, just made for toys or just made to have something out. They actually they had an idea. The people who made this show obviously cared about Batman and Batman lore. That's in every episode.
You bring up Clayface. I mean, that character it was supposed to, you talk about earlier about the Bat boycott with Robin, maybe. This was their alternative to Two-Face. And and the Harvey Dent, Batman's relation with Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne, and Harvey Dent and Batman. And then
was that a Nolan embargo? Would he have known
it makes
that early? The show comes out in 2005. He's not. When does he write Dark Knight?
Probably not, because you used the Joker, you had Bane.
The Joker sells. That's what I'm saying.
You had Catwoman.
Joker's just sexy because you need.
I'm not
Joker
sure. I'm
sure that's part of it.
I think at one time I remember reading the reason why they didn't use Harvey Dent or Two-Face in this, but I'm not 100% sure right now. So I'm not.
Do they think the character can sometimes be a little too grotesque for children? Like, wasn't that kind of
what? I think
66?
You know what? Good take. I think that was the reason. I 100% think that was the reason.
Like, what do you do? Is he a burn victim? Does his skin melt? Like, he's got to be hideously ugly. I think it takes it into effect sometimes.
Probably being a Saturday morning cartoon, that Two-Face factored into that. The fact that he's burned, he's scarred, whatever way, acid, gasoline and fire, like in the Dark Knight.
It's
whatever.
Not pretty. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
So that could be a problem. I don't know, but that's interesting. Because it's funny. Like, I wouldn't with the way that Todd McFarlane makes action figures and how he likes doing a crazy variety of action figures. I'm surprised he hasn't made a Joker from this TV show. It doesn't get crazy.
I would.
He's one of a kind.
I'd get one. I'd get a Batman from the Batman McFarlane if he made them. So, all right, real quick before we finish up this episode and finish talking about Batgirl Begins Part 1 and 2. Pete, I'm going to be giving away. Every month I'm giving away.
Whoa. Every month
for the rest of the year, and to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Batman on Film, I'm gonna give away a Batman on Film 25th anniversary T-shirt, and a few other things I'll throw in here and there. Maybe a Funko Pop. Like in June, I do have an extra Michael Keaton Batman Funko Pop from The Flash that I'm going to give away when The Flash comes out. So, but not on this one. This is going to be just another T-shirt. I gave away one here in March, and it was easy. All you had to do was send in your shipping info and your name and your address and all that. And I was going to pick. I'm picking one at random. But this one will be for April, and you got to answer these 2 questions. Now, I know you know the answer, so please, sir, do not say the answers. Okay. All right. There's 2 questions. So here's the deal. If you're listening, and I'll have this in the notes here on the Batman on Film, wherever the post this show shows up on. You have to answer the 2 questions. You just email them to me. got to have both of them right. The ones that have both right, I will take. I'll throw in a hat, figuratively speaking, and I'll pick one at random, and boom, you get a Batman 25 t-shirt. Color of your choice, size, etc. So, and could be, male or female. Could be either one. All right. Question number 1, Pete, for everybody out there, because I know you know the answer. You are a Batman on film aficionado. What was the original name of Batman on film? What was the original name of Batman on film? And you got to have the whole thing. Okay. All right, y'all. All right. Question number 2. On what device was Batman on film created? On what
I don't know how they don't
device was Batman on film created? Hey, I'm an open book. Everyone should know this. If you follow Batman on film, you know what this is. You know these questions. All right.
Yes,
So, all right, with that, let's take a short break for these words from our sponsors, and then we'll get back and I'll turn it back over to Pete, and we'll finish up talking about Batgirl Begins, parts 1 and 2.
All right. So overall, I'm very positive on these 2 episodes. I think they're a great 1-2 punch. A complete story. I like that we get 2 origins in one telling, and it's cool. And I appreciate how they did it, because they changed it up a bit, so it's fresh. And I'm a big fan. I'd give this episode an A-.
Barbara, the difference between the two, because they're friends, right? And Barbara's participating in these shenanigans with Pamela, right? Basically doing vandalism, and but she's doing it because she wants to do good,
She's in a little rebellious phase.
And Poison Ivy, before she's Poison Ivy, but even after, I mean, she's got a little bit more sinister alternative motives, but Barbara's is at least, she wants to do good and wants to be a hero. I mean, she becomes.
She originally wants to be a police officer. Dad obviously doesn't want her.
Yeah. And so, she's inspired by Batman and becomes Batgirl. So for this show, she is the first teenage sidekick for Batman, and Batman is apprehensive. And look, even though I'm not a huge fan of sidekicks, I will say this about this episode, or these episodes together, kind of like it's one story in 2 parts. But everything in this series, it was very well written, very well thought out. It wasn't nonsense, so yeah, it's a solid. I mean, I enjoyed rewatching it, and it's B plus. I would say, and like, one of the things about this podcast we have, Pete, is that I hope when we talk about these episodes like this, and from this series, the Batman, or it's Beware the Batman, or it's Brave and the Bold, that if you didn't see the series itself, or you might have missed some of these episodes, you go check them out.
I mean, and like we said off air, it's been probably since air date that we watched this. I probably did a rewatch, maybe like 7 years ago, but like it's been a while. So to go back and rewatch this, and when I listen to other shows, I've actually been watching a lot of the new Batman adventure, not the what was the one that just got released on Blu-ray. I've been watching. I own it digitally, so I've been rewatching it myself.
The Adventures of Batman. Yeah.
Yes, the Adventures of Batman.
Original, the very first.
Yes,
the very first Batman animated series. Yeah.
Yes. So I enjoy it.
What do you think?
It's fun. I mean, the difference is some episodes are nonsense.
Yes.
Right. Like it is. It's very. It makes me really appreciate BTAS, the Batman. Beware the Batman, because it's not bad, but like the storytelling that has come now is great, is vastly better, but like we can't get there without this. I appreciate it for what it is. I like the Penguin stuff with the umbrellas and all that jazz, like
Okay,
It's fun.
Yeah, Lauer and I did one episode of this, I believe, so far. So I want to do more. This I told him then. This
because I
was
looked here
my
too.
this was my Batman the Animated Series when I was a kid, because when this came out, and I'm sure I watched it first run, but the reruns is probably where I picked it up in the late 60s, early 70s. I mean, this was awesome, awesome Batman stuff.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm also
And
sure this was all you had, right?
it's all that was it. And yeah, but you hit it. A lot of them, most of the episodes are just nonsense, but there's a historical element
It's
to
different
it. Check it out.
seeing
Yeah.
how the character was portrayed then.
It's very indicative
it
of
is.
what how people viewed Saturday
Superheroes.
morning cartoons then,
Yeah.
and superheroes and Batman, because it was essentially, it's supposed to be a spinoff of the live action series.
I've always considered this one and the New Adventures of Batman as essentially sequels to 66. There's
Now,
way too many similarities there that they try to do.
The New Adventures of Batman that came
that
in
actually
70s,
had Adam West, right?
That had Adam West and Burt Ward, and it makes the Adventures of Batman look like Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah,
because
I've watched
nonsense.
a few episodes. Yeah, like I said, but again, but BTAS, the Batman, beware the Batman. I haven't watched Justice League Action, so I don't know what that portrayal of Batman is like animated. But those three series should be cherished, because you look at these other two early on, and you're like, man, ooh, we've come a long way, guys.
Yeah.
We've to go from like the Joker and the Penguin being caught because Batman follows a penguin back to a cave, to Heart of Ice. We've come a long way.
Yeah. And then it makes you appreciate things like the Batman, like you just said. In this episode, I mean, well written animation. The Batman had great animation too.
Very faithful. It was still, while doing its own thing, they still remained very faithful, and that's what keeps the character fresh. That's what keep these shows fresh. That's why you watch them, because it's not a rehash. They didn't try to recopy BTAS or what was successful. The only thing that Batman just he looks like Batman, but his cape is a little bit more like feathery at the bottom, I would say. But he looks like Batman. It just carries on. It's a wonderful take on Batman, really. The only thing I don't like is Catwoman's outfit. It's really one of the few things I don't enjoy. I enjoy the take on this Riddler. This Riddler is very interesting.
I like the Riddler. So you thought the Catwoman was that far off? I mean,
I don't like the design. The design takes it bothers me.
Was the goggles?
It's
the ears.
The ears are the problem for me. Those ears
they look like
she looks like a rat.
They're little.
They're huge. They're huge.
Yeah, I never. It didn't really bother me either. But yeah. So,
but
have you watched?
The take was fine. It was the costume.
Did you watch the Batman versus
Dracula?
Dracula
on Halloween usually. Yeah, it's usually a Halloween watch. I get my Batman kick in there.
That's an underrated animated movie.
Yes, it is.
In my opinion.
Yes, it is.
In my opinion. So just another plug for this series. This is a spinoff.
This is a very good series.
Yeah.
Like, again, 5 seasons animated. Geez, I feel like that's I mean, Young Justice, they've had to pull teeth to get like 3 or 4. So it's up there. It's top-notch content. It's a wonderful show, and it's fresh, it's different, and it still stands out amongst everything. It's its own, it probably, amongst Batman animated shows, this is the Matt Reeves verse of that. Like, they just look different. Things are different here. This Riddler looks different than every other Riddler. Same thing with Matt Reeves. The Joker's going to look different. The both versions of the Batman are very similar in the fact that they're similar, but they look a lot different than everything else that's come before it. So
yeah, for sure,
something interesting. I find out
for sure. It's good stuff. Now I got to get you to come do one of these, and we're going to do Brave and the Bold episode.
I'm gonna have to, because you're a bit conundrum here because you love this Brave and Bold, but then you're sitting here, you're right on Twitter telling me how the Brave and Bold Batman, you're worried about it, but you love this Brave and Bold. So it's interesting. I want to see, because I think the first episode has Blue Beetle in it.
It
And
does.
I'm like, I was like, this is totally not Bill's thing. He loves this stuff. So I'd love to talk to you about it, because to me, it's fascinating how much you really dig that show.
This is this is not, excuse me, it's not to get on another series, but like I've said before, it's the history factor of that episode, of that series.
And Mr. Tucker does a great job. He knows his stuff. So, when his name is attached to any DC property, any DC production, it's going to be faithful. And I haven't watched all of it, but the way you talk about how historically accurate, and even they have fun, but they're never poking fun. So that just speaks to the quality of the work that he produces.
All right. Anything else you think?
That's it. I think we're past. I think we're gonna strike now. So why don't you do your plug so we can get out of here?
Just go to batman-on-film.com. You'll find everything there. Check out all the stuff the guys do, comic book reviews. Pete's Straight Out of Gotham, you can find links to it. You can access it through Batman on Film. Lauer's Batman Book Club. So yeah, just check out everybody's stuff and all the different podcasts we have here. My voice is about to go out at Batman on Film.
You're really trying hard not to cough. You can follow me on social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Zack Snyder's favorite platform, Vero, at Pete Illustrated. You can follow the news-based podcast that I host for the Champion Long Island, Straight Outta Gotham, that Bill mentioned, at straight_O_G on Twitter and Instagram. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook fan page. Consider checking both of those out. Check out the Italian Spider-Man Coalition, at Italians for Spidey. I do that Spider-Man podcast with the Carusos, so that's fun there. At Team Yellow Oval on Twitter. I got a new review of Detective Comics up on Batman on Film as of today, I believe.
Yep, it's there.
And what do I got? And watch Gotham Knights. It's fun. It's enjoyable. Watch Shazam, please. It needs your help. No one's going to go see it. It's a fun movie. It really isn't that bad. I enjoyed it a lot. So just give a little plug there. And you can find me on Batman on Film YouTube. I'm all over the website as well. I got reviews and other stuff down there. So just, find a link, click it, and you can find me pretty easily. Did you see Shazam yet?
I haven't yet. I'm going to. I'm gonna see it on the big screen. I'll probably go.
I like it.
I mean, what else I got to do? I'm retired, quote unquote. In air quotes, retired. Yeah, I'm gonna go either this week or this weekend and check it out, because I feel bad for it in a way.
I do too.
I don't think it has anything to do with the new DCU coming. I don't think that's factors in at all with people going to see it, because the only people who would affect would be fans, and I'm a fan, so I'm talking about my fans are a piss in the ocean when it comes to the audience of a theatrically released movie. So I just don't think there was all that much interest in it from the general audience, and I think the Black Adam not doing well didn't help its cause. So, but yeah, I will definitely check it out. I got it. So real quick, as you mentioned it, and then we'll go. 30 seconds. Tell people why they should give Gotham Knights a shot.
It's better than Gotham and Batwoman, and it's pretty faithful in its own right.
What quality wise? It's typical CW fare, or I mean,
I go in there expecting like an MTV type, TV show. Okay, it's not a flaming pile of dog crap. It's pretty out there. I mean, you're talking about a show that Batman dies in, so he's obviously not the best Batman in the world. So take that for what it's worth. But I kind of dig what they're doing. It's a nice little kind of simple kind of whodunit,
Okay. Fair enough. I'm going to give you there, make your case. I have no rebuttal. Okay. All right. Pete, thanks for hosting this show.
Thank you for allowing me to host this show. I always wanted to be on the BOF podcast. Now I'm hosting various versions of the BOF podcast.
Great.
I've grown into a nice little fanboy here.
There was ever a day you thought, one of these days, I'm going to go to college, I want to get in the radio, and I want to host a Batman on Film podcast. I know that's one of
that was it. Right? That was it.
Yeah, that was it. All right. Well, congratulations on baseball season starting here soon.
This week.
And the Dallas Mavs are finding a way to not make the NBA playoffs, which is pretty
Congratulations, you now have Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. All right. So with that, announcer Rachel, take us out. Thanks, Pete, for hosting. And we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to Batmanimation, a BatmanOnFilm.com podcast revisiting the animated TV and film adventures of the Caped Crusader. Follow Batmanimation on Twitter @Batmanimation. Follow BOF on Twitter @TheBatmanOnFilm. Follow Jett on Twitter @BatmanOnFilm. For Jett and Team BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive, the original. Established in 1998.